Greetings, Chris Fiola here with another edition of the Perfecting Equilibrium vlog. Hope you're having a great week. We've been looking fairly consistently at different AIs, and we're going to take another look at one of those today. This is an AI called Wondercraft, and it's interesting for two reasons. First, it's really useful. What this does is take any sort of written content that you have and automatically turns it into a podcast. So let's give it a start. Let's create a new episode, and we'll call it Perfecting Equilibrium Test 2. What's the podcast about? I didn't realize it was going to make you do that information each time, so I will go back and grab some of that from here. We'll get our little description of Perfecting Equilibrium. And we'll go back to about that time I got banned from the Pacific Rim post, and we're just going to copy a bunch of the text. That much seems good. And we're just going to paste it right in here. Now you can do bullet lists and stuff, but I thought we would just hit it with what we've got. See what the most we can get with the least amount of work. Now I'm using the free version here. We'll talk more about the pricing and why I think it's problematic in a minute, but that has certain limitations. So we'll hit continue, and it will crank away. Now, the limitations are you get to choose from a set number of voices in the free version that are pre-programmed. In the paid versions, you can upload a script, or upload, I should say, some samples of your voice, and it will do the podcast in your voice, which is fairly attractive. What isn't attractive is that the two paid versions for this are $49 a month and $199 a month. Now, I know, Fiola, they've got to make money, and I agree, but remember, the way a business works is it's not what the business wants to charge, it's what people are willing to pay. And the problem I have here is that all of these things that are being built on ChatGPT and HugGPT and all of these open source versions of the engine are proliferating at an enormous pace, which is fun. It's always fun to be in on the first wave of a new technology because new and interesting and exciting things are happening. But also there's very little in the way of any sort of barriers to entry. So if you can create one and spend a couple weeks putting it together and charge $49 a month, why can't I do it and charge $39 a month? And then Bob do it for $29, and Mary will do it for $19, and pretty soon three guys in Romania will do it, and for 2 Dogecoins, which is worth what, a nickel now? I don't know. I can't keep track. Anyway, I think a lot of this stuff is you're having again, the early days of a new technology where everything is wild and wonderful, but a lot of it is going to get incorporated up into it. Okay, next steps here. So now we're going to pick a voice, and I will finish that thought in a few minutes. Let's do, I don't think this story would be told well. I don't know. I think I want a male voice. It's my story. What the heck? So we'll try Daniel, a fast-paced American voice. That's me. Now you can actually pick different voices for each section if you wanted to. And music-wise, let's try Botanist Boogie, just because I think that sounds funny. And let's hit continue. And while it is preparing, I'll continue with the news of something that we're going to look at in a future episode. And that is that Adobe seemed to be a little behind the times with this when it first introduced Firefly, which is its AI. It just kind of threw it into Creative Suite. And everyone tried it and said, oh, it's not as good as DALL-E and it's not as good as Midjourney or this or that. And that's all probably true. But the problem for DALL-E and Midjourney and these other things that would like to make money as standalones is what Adobe did this week, which was to go and incorporate Firefly directly into Photoshop. So you can now use it the way you'd use the lasso tool. In fact, you can use the lasso tool, designate an area, and say, put a castle in there, and Firefly will do that. That's what I think is going to happen with a lot of this stuff. I don't think we want it. In fact, let me rephrase that. Every bit of research over a million billion years, and I'm not exaggerating even a tiny bit, shows you the same thing, which is people only use a certain number of tools. They're not going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tools in their toolbox. They're not going to watch hundreds of TV channels. They're not going to listen to hundreds of podcasts or go to hundreds of web pages. They'll come to some set number, 8, 10, 12, and that's what they'll do. And so for people who are already using Adobe Creative Suite or already using Microsoft Office, they're going to be a lot more interested in tools that are integrated into the tools that they need to do their jobs and to do their creation than in using a plethora of standalone tools. But let's see how Wondercraft did. Let's give this a listen to the 3-minute podcast it produced.
Welcome to Perfecting Equilibrium Test 2, the podcast that dives deep into uncovering the evolution of the internet and its impact on data democratization. In this episode, we explore the dawn of Web 1 and how it led to the concentration of data on Web 2, making George Orwell's fears a reality. But don't fret as we delve into Web 3. We discover how we can perfect John Nash's information equilibrium. Don't miss out on the fascinating insights we uncover in this episode. Subscribe now to stay updated. In today's episode, we'll cover the controversial firing of a writer for a historical story ordered by his editor in 19th century events. Hey there. Today's episode of Somewhat Off Topic is going to be a bit different, as we're going to talk about something a little more personal. Have you ever found yourself in trouble? I'm sure we've all got our fair share of wild stories, but...
Well, two things. First, I completely misunderstood I thought the name and the summary there was for the podcast as a whole, and obviously it turned out to be for the episode. So that's on me. But you can hear how quickly and fairly professionally it turned that into a podcast. I'm not going to subject you to the entire 3 minutes of that. I thought I would go back here and let's see if I can. I'm just going to go backwards here because I don't know how to do it otherwise. My episodes. Let's see. Let's see if it'll... Here's the first one I recorded.
Hello, and welcome to the Perfecting Equilibrium podcast, where we explore the evolving state of...
Now, you can't choose the intro voice. That's the voice it just uses. And I did use the same music.
Data in the digital world. In this podcast, we delve into the journey from Web 1 to Web 3 and discuss how we are striving to achieve John Nash's information equilibrium. Stay updated on this exciting topic by subscribing to our podcast today. In today's episode, we'll cover how governments are driving the adoption of central bank digital currencies, which could help improve tax compliance by automatically collecting taxes on transactions and filling tax loopholes. Hey there, let's talk about cryptocurrencies today. We've all heard about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, but did you know that the big push now is for central bank digital currencies?
I used a allegedly slow voice on that one. Again, not my voice, neither one. And again, I made the mistake where I misunderstood what they wanted in the title and the summary there. So still on me. But I think you can see two things here. One is it quickly and easily does turn text into a fairly professional podcast. Second is, it's fairly generic. I think it would be better if it did it with my voice, but it would still, you could see how the voice has that sort of almost monotone. It's not quite monotone, but it's kind of a leveled out computer voice to it. And I still come back to the same point. I can see people using this as a tool inside of Substack or inside of Microsoft Word. I'm not really sure who's going to pay $200 a month for this. Even a large operation that can afford the cost, I think, has better options. So that's my take on Wondercraft. The other thing is that there's a lot of them out there that are cheaper than this, and so we'll take a look at some of those in coming weeks. That's it. From here, Fiola out.